Let's talk about one of the world's great success stories, Thailand's tourism industry. It's an absolute global powerhouse. But to stay on top, it's facing a moment of radical reinvention. We're going to dive deep into a recent study that doesn't just map out the future for Thailand, but it actually gives us a sneak peek into the future of the entire global service economy.
To really get a grip on the stakes here, you have to start with the sheer scale. I mean, look at this number. In 2020 alone, we're talking over 800 billion Thai baht from just hotels and restaurants. That's more than 20 billion US dollars. This isn't just some small slice of the economy. It is a foundational pillar.
And it's not just about the money, right? It's about the people. Think about it. Almost 40 million international visitors in a single year. And that number was climbing. This is not some quaint boutique industry. We're talking about a global operation on a massive scale, catering to a massively diverse international crowd.
So, okay, we have established it's a powerhouse, for sure. But even powerhouses can't afford to stand still. And right now, this industry is staring down a huge transformation, one that's being driven by a really fundamental shift in what travelers like you and me are actually looking for. And this right here, this is the absolute heart of that change. You know, for decades, tourism was all about the destination, the temples, the beaches, the landmarks you had to get a picture of. But the game has totally changed. Now, the experience is just as important, maybe even more so. People don't just want a photo anymore. They want a feeling, an atmosphere, a genuine connection. They expect incredible service. And that puts this immense pressure on the workforce to deliver something way beyond just the basics.
And that brings us to the central conflict of this whole story. The very skills that built this multi-billion-dollar industry, the ones that worked for decades, well, they just aren't enough for where things are headed. There's this growing gap between the workforce of yesterday and the real needs of tomorrow.
And check this out, because this really lays it all out. On one hand, you've got the traditional strengths, teamwork, good communication, and yeah, that stuff is still absolutely vital. But look at the other side. The future demands this whole new layer of skills. We're talking about being comfortable with new tech, having deep cultural intelligence, and, being able to handle a crisis without breaking a sweat. The old foundation is strong for sure, but a whole new building has to go up on top of it.
So, what does that new structure actually look like? Well, the research gets super specific. It identifies 9 essential skills. This is basically the toolkit that every single modern hospitality professional is going to need in their back pocket. Let's break them down.
First up, we've got what you could call the deeply human skills. See a theme here? Critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence. This is the stuff that AI and automation have a really hard time copying. In a world full of chatbots and automated check-ins, the ability to creatively solve a unique problem for a guest or to build a real, genuine relationship, that becomes a priceless advantage.
Then you've got the second set of skills, and these are all about being ready for what's next. This means being fluent not just in other languages, but in the language of technology and data. It's about being nimble enough to adapt to new trends instead of getting run over by them. And, crucially, it includes leadership and a real understanding of sustainability, because today's traveler cares about that stuff a lot.
Okay, so we know the skills we need. That's the what. But the billion-dollar question is, how do you actually build a workforce that has them? Well, the great thing is, the researchers don't just point out the problem, they offer a super clear, actionable 3-part strategy to solve it.
And this blueprint just lays it out perfectly. First, unify. You have to get the industry, the universities, and the government all on the same page, working from the same playbook. Step 2, modernize. It's time to ditch the dusty old textbooks and create programs that actually integrate real-world on-the-job training. And finally, evolve. This means creating a culture where learning doesn't just stop with a diploma.
And that last point is so important. This idea of lifelong learning. It isn't just another corporate training program you have to sit through. It's a total mindset shift. In an industry that is changing this fast, the single most important skill might just be the ability and the desire to constantly learn and adapt. It's all about staying relevant always.
So as we start to wrap this up, it's really important to see this whole thing not just as a challenge, but as a massive opportunity. Seriously, this isn't just about plugging a skills gap. This is a chance for Thailand's tourism industry to completely reinvent itself and to set a new global gold standard for what world-class service really means in the 21st century. And don't just take my word for it. The study itself couldn't be clearer about how urgent this is. This isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea for 20 years from now. The paper says that investing in people is a critical strategy that has to be tackled right now. The not-too-distant future it's talking about, it's basically here.
Which leaves us with this one last really big question to chew on. As technology and AI automate more and more of the routine stuff, what's left? What is that uniquely human thing that we call service? The answer to that question isn't just going to define the future of tourism in Thailand, it's going to define the future of human-centered work for every single one of us.